Hey folks, it's Lindsey Huddleston back in the building. Another SPS Mental Health Moment. Man, every time I get a chance to sit down, I get a great opportunity to connect with someone either I know really well, I've gotten to know, but in this case, this is like family, talking to my guy, Mr. Keith A. Tate, but it's a different conversation. Normally, I will be referring to him as Coach Tate. Assistant coach at Waverly High School, doing a great job with the Waverly men's basketball team. But now I have to refer to him, and I'm happy to say, author Keith A. Tate, here talking about his newly released book, Black Fatherhood, the struggles, the beauty, and expectations of being a new father. My first 2 years with Kai. How you doing today, author Keith Tate?
I'm doing good, man. Definitely excited to be on here with you. Specifically talking about the book, definitely wanted to make sure I connected with you to speak to the masses about the book I put out.
Well, man, this is about you and what's going on, but I can understand the excitement having written a book in 2011 and kind of grind on something right now. But this is your time to definitely shine, especially for the topic, particularly let's just start with the title, talk about what inspired you for the title. And then when you get a chance, specifically speak on Black Fatherhood, because on this day, May 27th, we're looking at all these horrible acts that seem to be happening in the African-American community. But please share.
Yeah, with the title of Black Fatherhood, honestly, the title was one of the hardest things to come up with. I had suggestions from a couple of people that were involved in the process with me. I was, praying and talking to God about certain things. And then Jen Fry, who you've had on, she's the one that when I told her I was kind of struggling with a title because I just didn't really have one. And she was like, what is it about? She basically answered the question for me. It was a rhetorical question, just Black Fatherhood, And I'm like, oh yeah, maybe. And then I was like, it makes sense, that's how I identify myself as a Black male. It's, talking about my experiences with Kai these last couple years. And the more and more that I had the title with the book, with the content, just more things kept spinning off of that. Mm-hmm. And so when people do read the book and speaking to, what you said about like kind of the horrific things that been going on in our country for centuries, but, as of late, it really speaks to, I have a couple of other projects, not necessarily books, but projects in the works that are going to kind of hone in some more on the whole topic of Black fatherhood and how we are raising our children and how we can be leaders and so on and so forth. So the book is a kind of a light read. It's serious, it's direct, but it's kind of a light read. It's not as deep as maybe I wanted it to be initially, but I'm saving that for the next projects.
Well, I did my homework, and I want to thank you for getting me involved early with the project and being able to have access to it in its rawest form. It is a light read, but let me tell you, man, as a father, my daughter's 2. Matter of fact, she just came in and instead of giving me a kiss, she like licked my face to joke with me. It took me back to those times, man, and I think for anyone who's going to look at this as an expectant father or even just kind of to reminisce on that, it took me back, man. So I tell you, you tugged at my heartstrings. But staying with the title for a second, man, Black Fatherhood is such a strong title, and it's so unapologetic because my experience as a Black man in America, and I'm sure probably yours as well, is that it's obvious that you're Black, but it's like you can't tell everybody you Black. It's like it's the obvious, but it's almost like you say it in a whisper, but I think it's such a powerful, strong thing to say. Do you get that idea? Did you wrestle with that at one point?
And not really. Once, Jen kind of hit me with it and I was kind of sitting on it and, I just felt like it really, and then when the gentleman, Dr. Telly Brandon, who did the foreword for the book, yes. I shot it over to him and he was like, perfect. And he gave me some ideas and suggestions for a title previously. So when I sent that to him, he was like, he gave me a multitude of reasons why this was a great, title, and even Jen did as well. Just it really, I think that it just grabs your attention,
Definitely.
And I think I wanted something that specifically spoke to us, you know, as I put like on the back of the book or on the back cover, is that when I was searching for books on fatherhood, there really weren't anything, there wasn't anything that spoke to me, you know. I'm not saying that there haven't been Black authors that, you know, have talked about fatherhood, but most of the stuff I've seen were, you know, white authors and what have you, which is totally fine, but nothing really spoke to me, nothing kept my interest. And I felt like this, you know, I try to make something that can connect with, I mean, all races, but, you know, specifically, you know, our culture.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, and I think I was in a unique position to read it, but also know you too. And I think one thing that really stands out about what you said is that there's a cool factor. I mean, you're a cool guy, Keith, and I'm not trying to be patronizing. I mean, you got swag, you know, but even with all that, you still embrace that. And going back to the foreword by Dr. Telly Brandon, who's the CEO of Toro Learning Education Consultants, he kept referring to father in the acronym. Faithfully accepts the handling of everyday responsibilities. I'm going to repeat that. Faithfully accepts the handling of everyday responsibilities. And when I looked at that, I was like, whoa. So what does that mean to you?
Man, I mean, that's just real life. I mean, that just shows I mean, when he broke that down, I was like, this is awesome. I mean, I was just so happy when he did it and he put that in there, because there is a difference, you know, between, you know, someone that has the title of a dad and someone that is entrenched into the grind of being a father. And that doesn't mean that, you know, the father necessarily lives with their kid, but they could still call them every day or every other day or text them or whatever the situation may be. It just really spoke to me like, man, that's who I am, you know. And, you know, I hope people see the difference between being a dad and being a father, you know, and strive to be a father, you know.
If I could add to that, on a personal note, I mean, I wasn't trying to do this, but you're speaking to something personally. I had been married for close to 10 years, and I have a daughter who just turned 8, like less than a week ago. And my ex-wife and I are no longer together, but my daughter's here with me right now. And to that point about being able to handle the everyday responsibility, I just once thought that I could never not be under the same roof with my daughter. So I say that to any father who's out there, that life can go on and you can start new chapters in your life and be positive, be amicable, do the best at co-parenting. And, you know, I feel really great about my relation. My daughter's in her room right now having a Barbie time, but I just kind of wanted to point that out because I looked at that book, Keith, your book, as someone who went through, and I can really, really relate. On that point, you dedicated it to a few people, your Uncle Mike and Grandpa Andy. You want to talk about the influence and impact they had on your life?
Oh man, you know, you know, my book, I wrote it. You, yourself, Grandpa Andy, Uncle Mike. Nobody's perfect, right? Like we all, you know, make our mistakes as humans and as men, you know. And but man, like my grandfather's energy and my Uncle Mike's energy was just always, you know, infectious. Sorry, get a little emotional talking about them.
Okay.
Just what I learned from them was their energy. I mean, they just always had good energy every time, like you would see them. And also the way my Uncle Mike respected and revered like his mother, you know, just those things just really, you know, over time really start to resonate with you. And like I said, with my grandpa, you know, maybe, you know, I didn't see him as much as I would have liked, whether it was my fault or his fault or what have you. But every time we were together, just connection, you know. Every birthday, I still got voicemails on my phone from years ago, you know. So those two were just, you know, I hope Kai and myself just learned to have that spirit that they had, just the happiness and always willing to, you know, to lend a helping hand. I could not talk to my grandpa for 3 months and I can call him with a flat tire, you know, or I need something and he's, you know, right there, you know, he'll give you his last dime and, you know, his shirt off his back. So, you know, those are just, you know, just two men that I adore and, you know, wish was still here. as over the last few years, they passed away. My grandpa passed away right after, like a couple months after Kai was born. And my Uncle Mike passed away a year before Kai was born. So, it kind of sucks that those two didn't get a chance to, connect with Kai. So it just,
It's amazing it happens like that. And knowing you, when we started down, I kind of sensed the emotion, but I think there's strength in your emotion right now. I mean, the pent up experiences, having this chance to do that. And if throughout the course of this, the emotions overwhelm you, I think that's just speaking to honoring who you're with. So I don't want you to feel that if you get that way, it happens. But you got me kind of getting that way too, brother. You're good. So while you gather yourself right now, man, talk about another smooth thing, the artwork. Let's just take a step away from what you wrote. Yeah. Let's take a step away from what you wrote for a moment. Yeah. But the visuals and Kai, and shout out to Tasha Brown, Kai's mother, your lovely lady, and the modeling agency you guys about to start in a minute. I mean, Kai is just killing it every step of the way. Talk about the influence of the artwork on what you had going on.
Oh, man. So just a quick shout out to there's a company in New York called We Are Little Giants.
Uh-huh.
And they just create a lot of apparel for kids that are of the culture. And so just some shirts that might reference Outkast or Gucci or whatever. So his hoodie that he has on in the photo says "Infinite potential dwells within."
Yes.
And on the hoodie, it's potential and has the definition on there. And man, it was just went to Brian Digital.
Yep. Keep it going.
And I really love that hoodie, and I just really felt like that would speak, to what we were trying to, convey, with the whole Black fatherhood and raising up a Black child. And it just everything just worked out perfect because what the hoodie symbolizes right now, or not right now, over years, with the Black male.
It's Trayvon Martin piece, going way back.
Yeah, so it's just, it all kind of just worked out. And Kai, man, he, the poses, those weren't poses. I was, I don't know who messaged me about it. Like, oh man, he did so good. I'm like, no, none of that stuff was he didn't mean to do any of that. He was just, I just tell Brian just to keep flicking, you know what I mean? Just keep shooting, doing whatever he's doing. So it worked out. It worked out good. It worked out perfect. Brian's a super professional photographer, and then Kyle Barnes. He really just made it all stand out, man. The cover and my expectations from it were just far surpassed from Brian and from Kyle with doing Kyle did the artwork, and like I said, Brian did the photography. And man, when I first got everything back, I think when Kyle sent me back the cover, man, I think I almost started crying, man, because it was this is real. This is real, and it
was beautiful.
Good, and
Well, I'm going to make a suggestion that when things come back to a place where we're all able to gather, and then there's one of your multiple book signings, do it in a space, man, where if you can get those pieces up and out and around, it's almost like it can be a walking exhibit. That's how impactful it was, just seeing the different times and spaces and experiences of that. I could just picture being in that space, man, and just it seemed like the artwork within itself was almost like the artwork could be a book within itself, is what I took from it.
Right.
That was great.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate it. And like I said, I got to give so much shout out to Brian and Kyle for, just, with the design and with the pictures that they took.
Sure. Talking more about the book. The book is written in 3 parts. And as I was going through it, there was so many things I can highlight. And what I do like, for those who know you, who read it, they're going to hear your voice. And I think that's really important as an author. My experience writing a book was that when you meet with an editor or someone, you want to make sure that your voice is not lost. But I heard you when I was reading the book. Right. The things you would say, and I love that you were being you. But there are a few things that stand out. You talk about those 3 a.m. mornings and pouring the milk on your hand and all that kind of stuff. Talk about that part,
Man, it's so crazy that, obviously there's no parent manual just in general, you got to learn as you go. And even, you're not expecting that stuff to happen when you have your child that, going down the stairs and trying not to, step on toys on the way there and slip down the stairs because it's 3 a.m, like me, which has happened, so, yeah, with that situation, yeah, like just heating up the breast milk and just being tired, not paying attention. I'm trying to test the temperature of the milk, on my hand, but forgot to put the top on.
Gotta screw that top, man.
Spilled all over, man. It's just one of those
things. That's breast milk. That's precious. You can't. It's not like it's in the can where you can just scoop it back.
Exactly. It ain't, there ain't no formula or nothing like that. That was stuff that she had to pump out herself.
Yeah, the pump for it. Use the pump.
She didn't like doing, So yeah. So it was those. I mean, it's just been several moments, and it, with any parent, you have so many memories, and some of them you forget. Which I have as well. Sometimes me and Tasha might be sitting around, or I'm going through my phone. I'm like, oh man, I remember, when this happened, or when Kai did this and did that, and so, yeah. So that's why I tried my best to capture with the book. Almost feel like a scrapbook to, capture the journey that we've had over the last couple of years.
Sure. Another thing you did that I really appreciate, and again, I'm saying this to the readers who are either reflecting on their fatherhood time or preparing to go down that road. You were really vulnerable at one point. You talked about the scary moments. You talked about the times when, there are things that happen and you were really fearful. And I can appreciate that because as a dad, we have those, oh man moments where things happen and you're grateful that it didn't go beyond that. Just talk about, being vulnerable and how that's a part of the fatherhood aspect too.
Yeah, I mean, there's several things too. I mean, obviously at the very beginning of the pregnancy, when you're trying to hear the heartbeat, if you don't hear it right away, you start, your mind just goes, a million miles a second with, hopefully not negative thoughts, but, it's scary. You're vulnerable. Even the way Kai got here, I was at work. Tasha was leaving out the house. It had rained that day. She slipped and kind of fell down our porch. And so and she called me. I'm like, yeah, go to the hospital right now, because you just fell off the porch. And that's kind of how Kai, came. And then one more situation when he was coming out, when he was being birthed, they couldn't find him or his heartbeat or something at the time. So there was a 5 to 7 second, 10-second situation where
it probably felt like a lifetime, I'm sure.
Oh my God, man, yeah, I don't think about it too often, but when I do, it's very just scary, and makes you appreciate your child coming into the world. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, just fatherhood, just in general, man, you have to allow yourself to, to be vulnerable. It's scary. You want to make sure you're leading your child the right way, that you're not doing nothing wrong, that you're leaving behind something good for your kids. I was just watching something yesterday or 2 days ago, the show called Black Love, and D.L. Hughley was talking about his son and how important it was that he trained him up the right way. He was his daughters were different. He was it was his son that he was really, worried about, and just how scary it is, whether it is a daughter or a son, but just, I have a son, so it's scary having your child out here in this world,
right?
When some things you can't control.
Right. Very good. Moving on with other parts of the book, there's so many great things to highlight, but I'll touch on a few more while I still have you. Talk about pop culture. There's a part where you talk about getting him a pair of Penny Hardaways, and being able to kind of, the shoes were too big, obviously, but talk about the great feeling you have to be able to impart your cultural views and values on your son, and almost kind of have a time capsule to say, hey, I'm going to get you this now, because years later you'll be able to reflect on that. Talk about that part.
Man, it's just, it's just one of them things that I feel have been, passed down, or, from times with, riding around with my father, just listening to Zap, the best of Zap and Raj,
Man.
just in learning those things, and him, or my stepdad D showing me certain things, just, having those learning moments makes me want to teach certain things to my son, even more so, whether it's about being a Black man, whether it's about, with women or school or our culture. Like I said, you've been in my basement with, all the, the records I got down here,
Right.
so forth, where I try to keep some classic ones around.
Shout out to the Coaches Culture podcast too.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I want to, I got Marvin Gaye hanging up, I want to get a couple more. So, I'm excited to, teach them things about, our culture. Me and Tasha talk all the time. Like I said, if we see a movie, we're like, hey, we got to buy that on DVD so we can keep it to, show Kai,
Yeah.
This might not be the best, example, but, Minister Society, like Boys in the Hood. I want him to see those movies. Yeah.
But that's part of pop culture, though.
Yeah, exactly.
There's gonna be references all throughout his life. He's gonna be hearing older people make references,
exactly.
And all that. I agree with that. So you talk about the pop culture part, and then the being up at 3 a.m. to feed the baby, take care of him. What about them 4 a.m. pee-pee showers? Talk about that.
Man, oh my God. I don't know how many times it happened, but it happened enough where I was sick of it. Just because, whether he slept in our bed or slept in his bed, and because he has a problem with always messing with his diaper, putting his hand down his diaper. And so sometimes it gets removed or, gets moved down. So he like pees everywhere, like just drenched. And it's like, now I got to get in the shower with you. And like I said, it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm in the shower with my son just to try to get him back to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Not go back to sleep. There's man, and the thing is, the examples I put in the book, didn't even put all of them, which is crazy, and it's only been 2 years.
Oh, man, that's wonderful. I heard a comedian make this comment, what's it like having a kid? He called him a broke little best friend, know? And I think what the viewers need to understand who have not had children, who are looking at it, even with the pee-pee showers, the 3 a.m. pees, the scary moments, that bond is like no other. And I think your book has really captured that because, again, I keep saying it took me back to that. My daughter's 8, but it took me back to those moments. And speaking of the pee-pee showers, I can remember her the first time she threw up on me. And I had my suit on, I had my shirt and tie on, and she got me, and it was all hot and wet. But that was my baby. Right. And I think there's no way you can really relate to that, but I think your book has done an excellent job in capturing that. So with the time we have, man, what is something you would want people to know about the book that we haven't touched on, something you would want people to be left with that can just help them going forward, or even, part of this time capsule, something you can say to Kai that he can look back on years later during this time?
As far as, what other people can gain from the book, I just think that I really wanted to reach out to like teenagers, because even though, it talks about the struggles and also the beautiful moments of being of fatherhood or just being a parent, because the book is just not for fathers, it is it's for mothers, it's for anybody, or expecting mothers, expecting fathers, or again, teenagers, male and female, to read because you need to know what it's like, because people do not know. They do not know the inner workings of, being, all the way entrenched into having a kid financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically being there, as one of the points I put in the book is just, Kai doesn't care and your daughter doesn't care if you had a bad day. You still gotta put your dad hat on and
gotta perform.
Yep, still got to do it, man. So I really wanted to hit the teenagers, man, to hopefully get them thinking about, as I put in the book, about their sexual activity, like that they stray away from it, or use protection, but we know that doesn't necessarily work, all the time. Yeah. So yeah, man, my thing is I really wanted to touch, the teenagers, any young adults, to give them a heads up on what's to come, if you're having sex and if you're expecting. So.
Wow. Well, I think you've done an excellent job, man. I was really pleased to read it from day one, and I think you're doing great things. So with that, man, I really hope that the viewers can get out there and get it. How can people access the book and get it?
Yeah, man. So everyone can go to KeithTate.com. That's KeithTate.com, where there's a link to Black Fatherhood. You can order it as well. If you don't want to go through the web, so there's a PDF version you can get, or you can order the paperback. And then also, if people want to go straight to Amazon, they can go to Amazon and search it that way. But honestly, I've been, and if they don't want to pay through PayPal with my website, you can Cash App. There's a way to email me. We can get that figured out. I've had quite a few people Cash App me, and like I said, I've had, man, just real quick, I'm so overwhelmed, man. Like, what's today? Today is Wednesday. So Monday night, I don't know, it was 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock p.m. I put the link out there for the book, man. And as I tell anyone, man, I don't have to sell one book. I'm already just blessed that I was able to, to even do this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was for myself, for my son, for my family, so just to even be able to sell any books and like I had, in 24 hours, I had about 50 books sold, and which just, I didn't have any expectations, so,
Right.
and it's been, it's been just a blessing, man. Just, I keep on getting notifications of people purchasing, asking questions about it, and so on. So I just want to say, thank you to like everyone that shared it on Instagram or retweeted it on Twitter or shared it on Facebook, text somebody about it, emailed about it. Like I really can't, express my true gratitude and how humbled, thankful I am. And like I said, it's been overwhelming, like the support, and like
Sure.
just, friends and family, like just rallying around and, again,
Well,
just.
Keith, you're a good dude, man. I mean, you're a good guy. You're committed to your community. And when you put your head down and work on things, sometimes you miss everything that's going around. But people want to support good people, man. And that's a great topic. So I'm sure you're overwhelmed by it, but rightly so. And you deserve that.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. But yes, KeithTate.com. You can, find the book. People can hit me up about any questions. But I'm really, not to stray away from the book, man, but I'm excited, like, to get started on this new project I'm doing that's, even more, like, just in depth and, like, really going to, like, hit home even more than this book, man. So it was me and Paul. Me and Mike.
Yeah, young Paul. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Man. We're super thrilled to get started and get going with that. So.
Well, I always will be keeping an eye on you, what's going on, and I always offer my support, anything you need. And I appreciate our friendship and growth over time. And thank you for sitting down with me and allowing me to have something quality to share.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I super appreciate it, man. Like all this. And what's crazy, like I told Desmond the other day and telling you, man, like looking at Des, looking at you and other folks, like really, push me to do more, and so because you're grinding every day with the content, so
hey, we got to.
Yeah, man. So thank you for doing what you do, because that really helps inspire me and push me to do certain things as well. So
well, we inspire each other.
But yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. That's what we're here for.
And shout out to Dez. We'll have him on the platform real soon too.
Good stuff.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Go out there and support Black Fatherhood, the struggles, beauty, and expectations of being a new father. My first 2 years with Kai. He's a handsome young man, too. Shout out to him. And again, shout out to Miss Tasha Brown as well, because she played her part. All right?
Indeed.
Okay. We'll see you next time, brother.
All right. Thanks, Lindsay.